I truly feel like that's what I have been looking for my whole life, is a home, a place to find comfort and peace and truth in knowing that I am his child, that I am loved and worthy and enough, and to find that purpose. Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I am nervous and so very excited to share this video with you today, to make this video for you. It is something that has been a long time coming. If I'm being honest, I probably should have made this video from the very beginning. It should have been the first video I made when I created this channel, but truthfully and honestly, I think at the time I was still struggling and in the midst of my own spiritual warfare, not fully able and ready to commit myself and to declare myself a child of God and a believer of God. And I'm just so grateful to be here in this moment, at this point in time in my life, to be able to declare myself as a Christian, that Jesus Christ is my Savior and He is the King of Kings. So this is my story. This is my testimony. This is my walk back to Jesus and my walk with God. I can honestly say that I feel like I have been confused for most of my life about what it is I truly believe in, and is there really a God? Is He really there? And I think and know that I'm not alone in the struggle, and taken so many different paths in pursuit of Him and in pursuit of truth and knowing and craving His presence, which I now realize and know was Him trying to find His way back to me, using those experiences to plant the seeds that I needed in order to rediscover Him again, in order to face my own conflict and the questions that I was having, and to not look for others for the answers, but instead to look to Him, look to the Bible, look to my relationship with Him as the proof that I needed, and the balm, the ointment that I needed to nurture my spiritual growth and to help me find peace again, to help me find a home, because I truly feel like that's what I have been looking for my whole life, is a home, a place to find comfort and peace and truth in knowing that I am His child, that I am loved and worthy and enough, and to find that purpose, that fulfillment. And I really don't feel like we can find that until we find that safety and that security, that foundation of knowing who created us, why He created us, and His vision for our lives. So to start at the very beginning, I grew up in a home where my mother believed in God, and my family was very much divided. Some of my siblings didn't believe or were too young. My father didn't believe in God, or if he did, I didn't know it. And so we were a very divided household where my mother and I would try to go to church, or wanted to go to church, and yet the rest of our family did not. We did give it a try. There was, I can probably say, less than 5 times, mostly on the major holidays, to go to church, my mother and I. And the problem is, as you can imagine, when you're going against the grain of your home, when it's not a foundational thing within your family, it can be very hard. So that was one thing. The second thing is that each time we went to church, we tried a different church, and we weren't really sure where we belonged. We weren't really sure where to go. And I think that is another huge struggle that I know that I have faced in life, is just not really understanding, not having knowledge of religion, of God, of Christianity, and really knowing where I fit into all of it. So every time we went to a new church and had a new experience, we were met with resistance. We felt like outsiders. We felt like we weren't welcome, which honestly could have been our own projections and our own imposter syndrome. But it also was very much part of this belief system that I had as a young child, as a young adult, as an adult, that I would not be accepted and I did not belong in the church. And I think that just was a seed that was planted in my mind early on from those experiences, and how it made my mother feel, how it made me feel. And so obviously, what happens when you have a bad experience, you typically do not go back. You typically, write it off as that's not for me. Even though going to church never quite worked out and we never really felt like we belonged, I still had this hunger for God. I still felt his presence. I was a very introspective child. I was a very introverted child. And I just remember so many times just being alone, like out in nature or looking out my window, or just having these moments where I swear I could feel a bigger presence, where I swear I knew that I was part of something bigger and that there was someone there for me. And because I had that hunger, I still pursued him. I found the Bible in my house, and I was very young. I don't know if I was even in middle school, and I remember trying to read the Bible, and I did read it. I didn't retain any of it. I didn't understand any of it, but I did read the Bible, and I feel like he purposely planted that seed within me, that seed of hope, of seeking. And that very much has been the theme of my life that followed me throughout my young adulthood. I struggled, like every teenager does, to find themselves, to find my confidence, to discover who I am, what's my purpose, seeking and searching for that home base of that safety, that foundation. And I realize now I was looking in all the wrong places. And all that time, I really do believe that I was just looking for him. I was looking for his love. And the only way I could really give myself the love that I was searching for was to know his love first. And I wasn't able to give myself that. I wasn't ready for that then. To fast forward, I ended up going to college, and I was pursuing a degree in healthcare, and I ended up flunking out my first semester. I ended up ruining my GPA and having to switch gears and transfer because I got kicked out of my program. And so, as you can imagine, I was feeling very defeated and very down and lost about what is it that he wants from me? Like, what is it that you want from me? What do you want? What am I meant to do in my life? Like, why do I keep meeting resistance, no matter which way I go? I'm trying so hard. I'm putting everything that I have into being good enough, being successful, and it just never felt like I could meet the mark. So I ended up having to apply to some other schools, and I ended up switching gears and going into nursing, looking into nursing, because the only thing I was ever sure about was that I was meant to care for others. The only thing I ever felt confident in was my ability to nurture others. And so it just made sense at the time for me to pursue nursing. And I ended up applying to 2 other schools, and the only school that I got into was a Methodist college. I was accepted with financial reimbursement, and I was also accepted into the program, whereas the other school, I wasn't accepted with the financial reimbursement. So it just felt like the stars were aligning, that I was meant to go here. Little did anybody know, I was not open with anyone that this hunger was in my heart, that I wished to know God more, that I wished to have a stronger knowledge base and understanding of his history, his past, of religion. And my time at that school was some of my hardest years, but I remember I always felt this extreme sense of peace. Like, this is where I belong. Like, I am at home here. And I just felt his presence everywhere. Luckily, I was required to take New Testament and Old Testament. I was required to go to chapel. So everything just felt so aligned, and I felt like this is where I'm meant to be. This was all meant to be, and I'm going to be a nurse, and I'm going to find my purpose, and I'm going to finally feel that sense of I belong. And then I graduated, went into the real world of nursing, and God couldn't have felt further away. I felt so lost once again of what am I doing? This doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel aligned. I felt so defeated. The next 10 years of my life were very much just this spiral of who can I trust? What can I trust? Where do I belong? Searching for safety. And again, I looked in all the wrong places. I looked to relationships. I looked to alcohol. I looked to escapism. I would binge watch TV and avoid all responsibility until the last possible second that I would have to get ready for work, to run away from my troubles, run away from my fear of, will I ever belong? Will I ever fit anywhere? And again, I had no idea, throughout all of this, that was him working his magic. That was him putting me through the fire so that I would look to him, so that I would know my strength, so that I would discover parts of myself that I hadn't yet discovered, that I would realize just how small I am in the grand scheme of life, and really be able to give myself the perspective that I was so badly needing, because I was very self-centered and I was very selfish in my view of the world, in the sense that I was only really focused on me and my feelings. And that is valid. It's valid to have feelings. It's valid to want to be happy and to want to feel fulfilled and to prosper. But I feel like till he shifted my focus from off of me to on the grander view of the world, the fact that there are so many other people out there, Amy, that are suffering, that are struggling to belong, that are struggling to feel enough. It's not just you. And that when I realized that, when I discovered that, that was the first part of my spiritual awakening, was realizing that I'm not alone. That it's not just me. If I feel this way, there are other people feeling this way. And I felt comfort in that. I felt connected in that. That maybe that's where my purpose lies. That maybe I'm meant to bring comfort to those who feel like they are all alone, that feel like it's just them. That was just another seed that was planted at that time, where I started to pursue, well, maybe coaching and mentorship. Maybe that's my path. Maybe that's where my gift lies and where he wants me to be. It's not at the bedside, in nursing, in the hospital, where I feel so conflicted and where things are broken and things are not working. Maybe I'm meant to be more at home. Maybe he's trying to shift my focus back towards home and serving others. So that's when I pursued my career with coaching and mentorship, at a time that my marriage was falling apart and I was feeling more lost and broken than ever. I tried to follow the breadcrumbs. I looked to where it was that he was nudging me, to where he had put fire in my heart and the convictions he had placed within me, and I pursued them. That led me into more of what I now realize was more of the new age spirituality. At the time, I wasn't comfortable still with coming out and saying, I believe in God, and I wasn't still sure how to talk about it. I wasn't confident in my ability to say that I was a believer. And so I felt more comfortable. It felt more comfortable at the time to speak of God in the reference of universe and spirit and divine. And that whole time, I always felt like they were all him. It was all him. It didn't matter what I said or what I referenced. In my heart, I believed it was him. It was God. But I didn't have the confidence to declare that, because I was still so focused and worried about everybody else and what they would think of me, how it would make them feel, would they accept me, that I again went down a path that still wasn't right for me. And it took me a long time to realize it. When we get caught up in the day-to-day life of just trying to get by and earning an income and trying to belong and family and marriage, I feel like we can put him on the back burner. I feel like we put our spirituality and our relationship with God and Jesus on the back burner, and that is certainly absolutely true for me. Even though I was always in communication with him, even though I was always talking to him and trying to connect with him, I lacked the understanding of where it was he was trying to wake me up. I wasn't yet aware of how it was he was communicating with me, of how he was trying to show me that all this struggle, Amy, all this pain, all of the confusion, all of the anxiety that you're feeling is not a sign that you're broken and that you're not worthy. It's a sign that I have bigger plans for you. It's a sign that I want you to wake up and realize how much you are loved and how much you are accepted, and to come home. And it wasn't until this last year that he really started to do some heavy work within my heart, and that I really feel like I finally had the confidence and the courage to pursue him again. It was totally on purpose. That things that weren't working, the things that weren't in alignment for me, the things that weren't founded in truth, his truth, my truth, that they just stopped working. And so I had to let those things go. I had to let go of my coaching business, and I had to let go of all of the ways that I was still trying to fit in and belong and feel accepted by the modern world and by the outside world, in order for me to finally realize that the only person that really matters, the only person's opinion and love that I really truly need is his. Like I said, I was only able to realize that and fully see that once I started to let everything else go. And so when I created this channel, I called it The Sovereign Mother, because I was working with a mentor in the process of letting go of my coaching business, trying to come to terms with that, needing to let that go, working through so much pain and trauma from my past that was still blocking me from fully accepting him and forgiving myself. And my mentor is the one that actually called this journey that I was on, this path that I was on, this hunger in my heart for living a life that was in alignment and where we trusted our intuition over everything else, which again, I believe your intuition is just God speaking to you. That hunger, that walk that I was on was sovereignty, not looking to the outside world, not looking to anything but my heart, my soul, my connection with God, self-leadership, that trust, that faith walk. When she said that to me, it just felt so right. It felt like that was what I was searching for, trusting in his leadership and his love and his word above all. So that is where the Sovereign Mother was born. The most important work in my life is being a wife and a mother and a homemaker. That in every other place in this world and this planet, I am replaceable. The more rooted I become in that, the more I build my foundation and my relationship with God, the more I let him in, the more true that I realize that is. The more I realize his purpose for me all along was for me to just simply be me, for me to fully love myself and accept myself, and to let myself be seen by the world, to let my heart pour out to others in service so that I can share my heart in my home and what I'm doing in my walk with God, to live a life of sovereignty, to live a life of where I'm constantly checking myself and working on getting back into alignment with his desire for me. And that is my biggest hope with sharing this video. My biggest hope with sharing my story and sharing my home with you and sharing my heart with you is that I can help you not feel so alone in your own walk with your journey. That maybe this video will plant the seed within you to give you the confidence, the courage to wake up to pay attention to those breadcrumbs, to pay attention to those nudges that He has placed in your life, in your experience, in your journey, where He is trying to call you home. He's trying to wake you up to how worthy you are, to how loved you are. This is a bit of a different video than I normally share on my channel, but it is something I felt like I couldn't go another day, another week without sharing with you, because I want you to understand who I am, understand my heart and my purpose for what I just am so grateful for the work that He has done within me, for the courage that He has given me, for the ways that He is continuing to show up and bless me and my family, and the ways that He is taking charge and taking hold of my heart and the hearts of my children and my husband and my family. I'm just grateful for all of it, for everything it took to get me here, because I can look back now and I can really just see the blessing. I can see where He was always working within me. He was always working, and He was always trying to push me towards my highest good. And I truly believe that He is trying to do the same for you. So my loves, I hope that you found this video encouraging. I hope that this lit a fire in your heart, whether you are walking with God or whether you are trying to find your way back to Him. I want you to know you're not alone. I want you to know that you are loved no matter where you are at. And if you enjoyed this video, please, it would mean so much to me if you would give it a like, leave me a comment below, share your story with me, share your story with others, because it truly matters. And if you are new here, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button. I put out new videos every week on mindful motherhood, thrifty homemaking, and intentional living. So until next time, my loves.